Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will be looking at 5 more terrifying encounters with the Men in Black. Enjoy. Elliot Bud Hopkins was born in 1931. He was raised in Wheeling, West Virginia. He was an American artist, author, and ufologist. He was a prominent figure in alien abduction and related UFO research. In August 1964, Hopkins and 2 others reported experiencing a daytime sighting of an unidentified flying object, or UFO, in the form of a darkish elliptical shape off Cape Cod in Truro, Massachusetts. Dissatisfied with the response Hopkins received when he reported the incident to nearby Otis Air National Guard Base, he suspected a possible government cover-up. Hopkins began reading about UFOs and collecting stories of people who claimed to have experienced contact with alien beings. Hopkins is often credited with popularizing the idea of alien abductions as genetic experimentation through the publication of his book, Intruders. In 1976, Dr. Herbert Hopkins was working as a consultant on a UFO case in Maine. One evening, he received a phone call from someone supposing to be an activist in the UFO community, asking him if he could visit Hopkins to discuss the case. Only minutes later, the man arrived. The man was wearing a black suit, black tie, and had a very unusual facial appearance, with no hair or eyebrows, and an extremely pale figure. Hopkins's dog began barking erratically the minute the man entered the home. After the bizarre visitor was finished questioning him about the UFO case, the visit got even stranger. The man in black informed Hopkins that there were 2 coins in Hopkins' pocket, which was correct, and asked him to remove one. Hopkins complied and held the coin, a shiny new penny, in the palm of his hand. The man in black then told Hopkins to watch the coin closely. After a few moments, the coin took on a silvery appearance and then appeared to be going out of focus. It then began to fade and eventually disappeared altogether. The man in black informed Hopkins that the coin would never be seen again on this plane. He then inquired as to whether Hopkins was familiar with the UFO abductee Barney Hill. Hopkins replied that he had heard of Hill, but was under the impression that he had died in the not too distant past. The man in black informed Hopkins that was correct. Barney didn't have a heart, he said, just like you no longer have a coin. Barney Hill did in fact die of a cerebral hemorrhage. The man in black then gently suggested that Hopkins should destroy any material he had relating to his UFO research. Hopkins was extremely shaken by the encounter and followed the advice of the man in black and burned all of the files he had relating to his UFO research. Hopkins then received strange phone calls in the coming days. He inquired to the phone company as to what was the matter, and they informed him that his line had been tampered with in an attempt to listen to his conversations. Thankfully, he never saw the man in black again. What do you think about this one? Let me know in the comments below. In May 1964, Jim Templeton, a firefighter from Cumberland, was shocked to discover this figure in the background of a photo of his daughter. The figure was not in the camera's view when he took the photo, and nobody had any idea where it came from. Jim swears he didn't tamper with the photo. The film was verified as authentic by Kodak, and Templeton's story went public. Not long after, he was visited by 2 government agents who were dressed in black and spoke in strange foreign accents. The 2 men in black showed up at the fire station where he worked. The two men, who referred to themselves as 9 and 10, demanded to see the site of the photo and questioned Templeton about the event. They drove to the site in a black car. Jim said that the men didn't seem to be very familiar with the area, which suggests they were not local. Upon arrival, number 9 and 10 asked Jim dozens of questions about the man captured on film and about what happened on the day. When Templeton told them he didn't see the figure personally, the men became angry and stormed out of the field, drove off and left Jim in the field and were never to be seen again. Templeton was later contacted by 2 employees at a missile launch pad in Australia, who claimed that they saw 2 figures that resembled the man in the daughter's photo on launchpad security footage. Apparently, the missiles at the site in Australia had been produced only 20 miles away from the field where Templeton took the photo. All this happened in a few hours after Jim took this photo in England. A few years later, Jim went back to the site and took additional photographs. However, when he came to pick up the photographs from the shop, a note was attached to the roll that said these photos cannot be processed. This happened a few times and only ceased when he used a fake name. Could it have been that the men in black were stopping him from doing further research? There has been some theories online which suggests that the person in the photograph is Jim's wife. However, Jim swears that his wife was not behind his daughter and she didn't have those types of strange-looking clothing. In addition, you can clearly see that the figure in the photograph is masculine. Danny Gordon was a radio personality who became interested in a flurry of Wythe County UFO sightings. On October the 7th, 1987, multiple people across the county, including police officers, claimed to have seen something bizarre in the sky, and Gordon decided to investigate. Gordon became obsessed with getting photos of UFOs, including one time where an entire school bus of children saw UFOs flying over a shopping mall. Gordon took a few pictures at close range that allegedly verified that they were not of this world. However, strange things began happening for Gordon. He received a phone call from a man who claimed to be ex-military and warned him that his research could cost him everything and urged him to stop for his family's sake. Gordon was also interviewed by 2 men in black suits who claimed to work for a magazine publication. Not long after the interview, Gordon realized all of his photos were missing. He contacted the magazine for information, and they claimed to have never heard of him, much less commissioned an article about him. Not too long after, Gordon suffered a heart attack, and his doctor warned him that all the research and stress was jeopardizing his health. Gordon gave up the story and was never bothered again. Dan Ackroyd is a famous actor and is known well for his smash hit movie Ghostbusters. As well as being a talented actor, he is also a self-proclaimed expert on the paranormal and UFOs. He even had a TV show called Dan Ackroyd Unplugged, which was a TV show that explored UFOs and UFO encounters. It was apparent that Dan Ackroyd spent a lot of time doing in-depth research on abductees, UFO encounters, and the grey aliens. Dan Ackroyd was in the middle of taping a show about the paranormal. While on set, he stepped out to take a phone call from Britney Spears, who was asking him to appear on Saturday Night Live, when he noticed a black Ford parked across the street. A tall man in a black suit stepped out of the Ford and stared him down. Ackroyd turned away for a moment and then turned back to find that the man and the car had completely vanished. After he finished the phone call, he returned to the studio to learn that his show had been completely cancelled and was ordered to stop filming immediately. Some doubt his claim, but Ackroyd says he knew what he saw and maintains that there was some kind of connection between the Men in Black and the end of his paranormal show. Professor Peter Rosevich, a professor and researcher of UFOs, has written several reports and has interviewed countless people about alien abductions. However, his research was put under threat when he claims that he was researching a UFO book in the library. While doing his research, a strange pale man wearing all black sat next to him. The man began talking to the professor and asked him about his opinion on flying saucers. The professor replied that he wasn't very interested, and the man became very agitated. He eventually left, leaving the professor extremely uncomfortable and anxious. He did not reveal this story until many years later, when he finally gave a lecture on the subject. He remains convinced that it was a Men in Black official who confronted him in the library, and to this day is trying to find more people who have had similar experiences. So that's 5 more compelling encounters of the Men in Black. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in my next one.